The PatrolShift bid scheduler project shortcomings and wishlist. So for shortcomings, we have identified four. The first one being backend optimization. There's some code redundancy and also the use of an interpreted language such as PHP for the backend leads to less optimal runtimes that can be achieved perhaps with a compiled language such as Rust. Another area for improving the application would be CSS optimization. Um, Due to inexperience, we used a lot of vertical height and vertical width attributes in the CSS. Towards the end of the project, we learned actually the way to go was with REM so that it doesn't vary so much as the screen changes for the size attributes in the CSS. Also, the exclusion of height and width attributes in order to allow that to be inherited from parent CSS, and also using more of the flex stylings. Another issue we identified was front-end optimization. We did use TypeScript, which gave us a lot of opportunities in order to describe types and avoid errors at runtime as they were caught by the code editor. But we didn't utilize it to its full potential in the front end as we were learning TypeScript during development. There's definitely a lot of room for refactoring, identifying explicit types, making type files that should be imported into any module versus a lot of redundancy that we have in the current code. We can also definitely do more testing in the front end. Use test runners such as Cypress or Karma to run the application unit and integration and system tests on multiple browsers. Another area that can definitely be improved is system testing and acceptance testing. So we did not, if it feels like we didn't have enough time in the summer semester to actually do systems testing and acceptance testing. And we had a very clear moment during development where at the beginning we had every intention of testing. We even set up a CI, a continuous integration setup using GitHub Actions. So we had the intention of testing, but we didn't have a lot of experience with testing. And at some point during the project, we realized we were running out of time. So we had to stop testing and just focus on implementation of features. And that's how we got across the finish line with a fully functional, at least version 1 of the application. But due to the lack of testing, it's clear that it's not quite ready to deploy. It could deploy, but it's going to lead to a negative user experience due to the lack of testing. The other thing is we didn't consider deployment and acceptance testing, where we put the application in context of where it's going to be used, and then the user can run some QA or acceptance testing, just kind of help us verify and validate that it is functioning the way it's supposed to in the context of deployment. So we didn't budget any time for that. It just simply didn't occur to us. So that's definitely a big area to consider. So next we move on to Wishlist, what we would like to, how we would like to improve it in terms of features, like what can we add. Something we weren't able to implement were notes, so that a time slot would have this little submodule in it where an administrator can add notes regarding a particular time slot. Another feature we would certainly like to do is weekly and calendar views. At the moment, we just have this kind of table with rows to give the information of what's happening in terms of time slots to the user, but it would be nice to have a weekly view and a calendar view in order to get a bit more context of what the full schedule looks like versus just the schedule of today. Another feature we would definitely think is useful and would like to implement is filtering, searching, and more sorting. with filtering and searching, it'll facilitate the ability, for example, for a user of the application to simply focus in on their position or maybe their unit number or a particular shift, etc. So these are the three features we think are we would definitely like to add in the future. So that's it regarding the shortcomings and wish list for the PatrolShift bid scheduler.